Our lesson today is 2.5, multiplying decimals. And we're going to start with the key idea, which is on page 74, if you have a book, multiplying decimals by whole numbers. So multiply as you would with whole numbers, then count the number of decimal places in the decimal factor. The product has the same number of decimal places. Notice here, this is your decimal, 13 and 91 hundredths. It has 2 decimal places, so your answer will also have 2 decimal places. This one goes out to the thousandths place, so your answer will also go out to the thousandths place. This applies when you're multiplying a decimal by a whole number. We're going to look at example 1. We're going to find 6 times 3 and 91 hundredths, which is close to 6 times 4, so our answer should be close to 24. Notice you put the number on the top that has the most digits. It doesn't matter that 6 is actually greater than 3 and 91 hundredths. The number with the most digits goes on the top. You're going to multiply just like you normally would. So 1 times 6 is 6, 9 times 6 is 54, put the 4 here, carry the 5. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 5 is 23. Now you need to place your decimal point. Since there's 2 decimal points in the 2 decimal places in your factor, then you'll have 2 decimal places in your answer, your product. Is your answer reasonable? Yes, this is a great time to use estimation because 24 is similar or close to 23.46. If you had put your decimal point right here, your answer would be 2.346. Or if you'd put your decimal point here, it would have been 234.6, neither one of which is close to 24. All right, now we're going to do the next one. 16 thousandths times 3. Notice again that 3 is obviously greater than 16 thousandths, but we put the number factor with the greatest number of digits on the top. Multiply. All right, we have 3 decimal places here in our factor. So I need to have 3 decimal places here in my product. I only have 2 numbers, so I'm going to need to insert a 0 to the left of the 48 and then place my decimal point. And it's reasonable because this is very close to 0. So 3 times 0 would be 0, and this answer is close to 0. All right, next one. This one goes out to the 10 thousandths place. It's close to 5 times 12, which would be 60. Again, the factor with the most digits goes on the top, and you're going to multiply just like you normally do. Notice you're going to be multiplying by the 2 in 12, and also by the 1, which is actually 10, in the 12. Just like you would normal multiplication, multi-digit multiplication. Don't worry about the decimal point yet. Just multiplying by 2. Now remember, I call this the placeholder 0. People may call it something else. But you're actually multiplying by 10. That's why that 0 gets there. Because it's not 1 times 4, it's 10 times 4. That's why. Then you add, just like you normally would. You have 4 decimal places here in your factor, so your answer will also have 4 decimal places. And that is reasonable because 61 and 2,288 thousandths, 10,000, excuse me, is close to 60. Now, what if you're multiplying a decimal by a decimal? Well, the key idea says the rule for multiplying 2 decimals is similar to the rule for multiplying a decimal by a whole number. So you would multiply as you would with whole numbers, then add the number of decimal places in the factors. There's 2 factors this time. The sum is the number of decimal places in the products. For instance, you have 3 decimal places here, you have 1 here, so you would need to do a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places in your product, in your answer. Let's do a couple of examples of that. We're going to multiply 4 8/10 by 7 2/10, which is very similar to 5 times 7 if they do the estimation, 35. So our answer should be close to 35. So we multiply, just ignore the decimals right now, just multiply. We get 16, carry the 1, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, placeholder 0, 7 times 8 is 56, carry the 5, get 33, add. Okay, all of that should be very familiar to you because you've been doing that for a couple of years now. Now you need to place your decimal point. We notice we have 2 decimal places here, one here, one here. So our answer will have 2 decimal places. Going from the right, notice our answer is 34 56/100, which is very close to 35. If we had placed our decimal point here, that would not be good. 3.4, or right here, 345, that would not be reasonable. We're going to estimate. This is close to 3, this is close to 0, so our answer is going to be really close to, now they did not do what I would have done here. But I can see why they did this. They did this because actually there's only one number you have to deal with here, and that's the 5. Since these are zeros, you don't have to multiply by 0. So I can see why they did that. Makes sense. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 3 is 15. Notice we have 1 decimal place here, 3 decimal places here. We need a total of 4 decimal places. We've only got 3 numbers, so just like on the other one we did, that means we're going to have to put that 0 there in front to the left, and then put our decimal place. So just check, make sure we have 4 decimal places, 4 decimal places, and our answer is close to 0. All right, these both have 2 decimal places. They both have 3 digits, so it doesn't really matter which one is on the top. 4 times 2 is our estimate, 8. This time we're going to have a little bit, we're going to be multiplying a 3-digit by a 3-digit number. That's not something you do a lot, so let's just look at it and see how that works. So first we're going to multiply by this 5 in the hundredths place. You're used to that. All right, now we're going to multiply by the 7 in the tenths place. So we need to put a 0 right there. Remember, you can stop this video at any time to check it out. Now we're going to multiply by the 1 that's in the ones place. We need to put 2 placeholder zeros right here now. Then multiply by the 1. Add it all together. 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places, for a total of 4 decimal places. Move it over. Is our answer reasonable? Is this close to 8? Yes, it is. Suppose you didn't know the rule about I need 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places. You should know still where to put your answer, your decimal point, because there's only one place to put the decimal point where your answer would be reasonable. If you put the decimal point here, your answer is 74, not close to 8. Or in front would be 0.7 or 7/10, not close to 8. All right. What if we have an expression? Which means we're going to have parentheses sometimes. So remember, we follow the order of operations. We solve what's in the parentheses first. Remember, parentheses also, if you have a number against the parentheses, I don't know if that's the proper way to say it, but if you have a number and then another number inside the parentheses next to each other, that means you're going to multiply those two things together. So first we're going to do the parentheses. Notice how they added those zeros so we could subtract. You can't change the order of it because it's subtraction. Bring down that decimal point, regroup. I want to notice again that this could be looked at as 50, and so you could take 1 away and you would have 49 and give that 1 to this 0 so it could be a 10. And we subtracted. Now we're left with 2 and 44 hundredths times 1 and 325 thousandths. I'm going to put the one that goes out to the thousandths place on the top because it has 4 digits. We're multiplying again by a 3-digit number because it's 2.44. That's 3 digits. So the first, don't forget your placeholder 0 here when you multiply by that 4, but when you multiply by the 2, you have to put 2 placeholder zeros. I know it's going quickly, but you got the idea. 3 decimal places, 2 decimal places for a total of 5 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. You can stop the video if you need to look at it more closely. Modeling real life. All right, says a science teacher buys 3 and 25 hundredths ounces of zinc for an experiment. The teacher pays with a $10 bill. How much change does the teacher receive? You notice here they tell us that zinc costs $2.41 per ounce, and the teacher has bought 3 and 25 hundredths ounces. He didn't buy exactly 3 ounces, probably because they didn't sell it that way, but so first we need to multiply the price per ounce times the number of ounces, and that will tell us how much it cost. And we're going to multiply by the 2. Don't forget your placeholder 0. Now we're going to multiply by the 3. So you need 2 placeholder zeros because there's 2 places to the right of it. Add those together. 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places for a total of 4 decimal places. All right. So it's 7 and 8,325 10,000ths. Remember, money only goes out to the hundredths place. So since there was a 2 here, that did not round up to 84 cents. It just stayed 83 cents. So that's how much the teacher spent. Now, he paid with a $10 bill, so we need to see what his change was. And of course, that's going to necessitate subtraction. So we're going to subtract $7.83 from the $10, and the teacher would receive $2.17 in change. All right, well, that is the material for today. Make sure you do the worksheet, the homework for 2.5 multiplying decimals. Remember, you only have to do the even problems, and I will probably be uploading another video today if I have time. And y'all have a great rest of the week.